Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, September the 22nd, 2023. It is currently 9:31 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio, located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, I'm going to take just a few minutes. I'm going to try to make this as fast as I can to really just lay out some facts, just to lay out some information for you. And you can do whatever you would like with this information. But if I'm being honest with you, the future of this podcast, the future of this broadcast really is kind of in question right now. It's a little bit in jeopardy, and I don't want to over-exaggerate the situation, but the reality is the future is in question, and I'm just going to lay out the facts to you, and you can do whatever you want with it. I decided to do this broadcast now, because I haven't done any broadcasting today, so I thought, well, since I haven't really done anything today, let's just get this broadcast out of the way. Let's get these facts out there. Let the people do whatever they want with it. And then tomorrow we can just have a fresh start and just start doing our normal broadcasting, getting to the business at hand, right? We need to do a Bible pop quiz. We need to do some law and gospel. We may do some work on sanctification. There's always things that we need to do. So many different broadcasts, so much information. We need to get to that. So I didn't want to start the day tomorrow with doing what I need to do now, because it just feels like it just kills the whole vibe. I didn't really want to do that. So this is the perfect time. Turn on the microphone, spend a few minutes and just tell you, hey, here are the facts, and these facts call into question the future of this podcast. And then you as listeners, you can decide what you want to do with it. You may not really care, and that's perfectly okay. The one thing I don't want to do is turn on the microphone and beg or plead or manipulate or do what some podcasters do, and a lot of Christian radio. They do like a share-a-thon, and you do 3, 4, 5 days trying to raise money to support the broadcast for the next year, right? You do this, basically a campaign to try to raise money. You may do a marathon broadcast, and the whole goal really is to raise money. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to say, here's the situation. And then you can say, don't care. And I understand. You got a million other podcasts to choose from. You don't need us. This broadcast could disappear tomorrow. And let's be honest, no one's going to miss it. And I understand that. But maybe there's some people out there who would be like, well, I may not miss it, but I do like, some of the things you do. And then you can decide what you want to do with this information. All right. A few hours ago, I received an email informing me that the cost of podcasting, the cost of broadcasting is about to increase. Now, we broadcast on a number of platforms, and all of these platforms cost, we have to pay money to broadcast on those platforms. It's free for you. We make the content available all over the place, on every podcasting app, all over the place. It's free for you. You'll notice there are no commercials. There's no sponsors. There's nothing. It's just I turn on the microphone and I teach. Every once in a while, I will mention the cost, but for the most part, you're getting uninterrupted hour after hour after hour after hour of teaching, of discussion, of theology, of church history, of news commentary, just so much we try to do. I mean, over 3,000 episodes of the Theology Central podcast alone. I mean, thousands of hours of content is available to you 24/7. And of course, we live broadcast as well. And of course, the rest of that, all that archive is available for download and streaming whenever you would like. But it costs money. It costs money. So we were informed just a couple of hours ago that, there's going to be a price increase. Now, you'll know, on many platforms, one of those platforms that we broadcast on, is the Sermon Audio platform. Now, Sermon Audio covers the Church One app, which we really do love because it basically becomes our own individual app, right? You download the Church One app and you do a search for Theology Central, choose us, it becomes our own app. We love that. All of our content is broken down by series. We can have individual artwork. It's easy to find. And you can listen to the live broadcast and you're notified whenever we go live on the air. We love the Church One app. We're also available, because we're on the Sermon Audio platform, the Sermons 2.0 app. Right there, you can listen to us. And all of our content, once again, is broken down into series. It's manageable. It's easy. It looks nice. We love the Sermons 2.0 app. We're also available on the Sermon Audio website, which includes the brand new beta.sermonaudio.com website. We are grateful, so very grateful that Sermon Audio would even let us broadcast on their platform. We know it's a privilege. Oh, it's an honor. We know that they don't have to let us be broadcasting. We are grateful and we are thankful, but it does cost money to be on their platform. In fact, it usually costs us $50 a month to broadcast on their platform. Well, their price will be going up. It will now be $60 a month. You also know that our main podcasting platform is the Spreaker platform because they are our podcast hosting site. They take all of our content and send it to every podcasting app on earth, right? They send it everywhere. That includes YouTube, Pandora. I mean, I can go on and on. Spotify, Apple, Google, Pocket Cast. You just, every podcasting app you can think of. It's all because of Spreaker, right? They charge us $120 a month, possibly could increase at the end of the year. Now, I'm not great at math, but if you take $60 a month and $120 a month, that puts you at around $180 a month to broadcast. And then we have our pod page, the Theology Central pod page, which is $20 a month. Again, I'm not great at math. That should bring us $200 a month to broadcast, to make this all available to you, $200 a month. That does not cover, there's other things that is included in there, but I'm not going to include it. There's other costs, equipment, resources, anything else we do. Sometimes we do book giveaways. Anything else we do is money on top. For a while, we were paying over $50 a month just to make a curriculum available to everyone. But we've tried to give without ever bothering you or saying anything. But here's the reality. $200 a month, I think you can figure that out. $200 a month for a year is $2,400 a year. It's $2,400 a year. And that is the minimum. It's actually more than that, but $2,400 a year for us to make all of our content available to you. That's just to pay for our broadcasting. That doesn't cover any other expense. Obviously, I'm not making any money. That's $2,400 a year. Now, I don't know if you think that's a lot of money. I don't know if you may not even think it matters, but it's $2,400 a year for us to broadcast. Here's the reality. That's no longer sustainable. It may be sustainable for a while, but I don't know when. At some point, it's no longer going to be sustainable. And that means we could possibly be seeing the end of the Theology Central podcast. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know. Here is my thinking. I will make a decision January 2024 what the future is. But I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know if I don't lose my voice. I'm just letting you know the reality of the situation. $2,400 a year to broadcast. Free for you, definitely not free on this side of the microphone. That doesn't even cover my time, effort. That doesn't cover anything else. That's just to broadcast. $2,400 a year. That's a pretty considerable amount of money. And it's no longer sustainable. in the current situation. It just isn't. So I'm going to have to make a decision in January. My goal is the rest of September, all of October, all of November, and all of December. I'm going to do as many broadcasts as I can. I'm going to try to make it fun. I'm going to try to make it challenging. And I'm going to say if 2023 is the end, if this is the end of everything and I'm just done once and for all, and I'm just going to move on and do something else with my life, if this is the end of it, I'm going to go down, I'm going to try to make it the best last few months possible. But you as a listener, you can decide what you want to do. If you want to support us, it's simple. You go to theologycentral.net, hit the donate tab. On the Church One app, hit the give tab. Sermons 2.0, do a search for Theology Central, hit the give tab. On the Sermon Audio website, do a search for Theology Central, hit the give tab. There you go. And you can kind of figure out the math, right? We need 20 people giving $10 a month. That's $200 a month. Problem solved. 20 people, $10 a month. Or if more people are giving, then it could be $5 a month. You can figure out the math, right? But to just make it simple, we need $3,000 to cover October, November, December, and all of next year. That's what we need. Now, again, that's just to cover the cost. That doesn't cover anything else. That's just to cover the cost. We need at least that. Now, again, 20 people, $10 a month, you really kind of solve the problem. You really do. Now, you would hope that a podcast that's in the top 5% of all podcasts in the world, we could find 20 people who would pay $10 a month. You would hope. But see, I'm not going to put content behind a paywall. I could try that, but I'm not going to do that. We could monetize the podcast. The only problem with when you monetize a podcast, we are a theology podcast. That means they put commercials there. Some companies don't want their commercials on a podcast where you may be saying homosexuality is a sin, right? When you may say God created male and female, like there's certain things I could say that could be that's not wonderful. You look how many ministries and different people have been demonetized on YouTube or other podcasting platforms. You don't necessarily want to go there. And not only that, do you really want your theology podcast filled with commercials? I don't. Do you want one at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end? I would prefer not to do that. With any of our content. In fact, I don't want to do that. So all I can do is say, ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality. $2,400 a year for the Theology Central podcast to be brought to you, and it's free for you. However, $2,400 is no longer sustainable for our current situation. Now, there's things we could do to try to save us some money. The only problem is doing some of those things could be very detrimental to the podcast. The reason we're in the top 5% of all podcasts in the world is because of our podcast hosting site, Spreaker. We get rid of them. Yeah, we save ourselves $120. It may go up to $140 a month. We save that money. That's great. May make it a little bit more sustainable, but then we just wipe out all of those podcast hosting sites. We then could try to get back on those podcast hosting sites using the sermon audio, using that RSS feed, but we wipe all of that out. We lose all of those numbers. And you don't want to, everyone said, well, you could switch to this platform. Yeah, and you're wiping out the RSS feed that has built up and you have the listeners there. Trying to get people to switch you don't want to mess with what you've built. In other words, we may have to, but I would prefer not to. Keeping everything the way it is what we would like to do. So that's just the situation. I don't know how else to say it. It's going to cost us $2,400 a year to broadcast. That's the bare minimum. That does not cover one additional expense. Obviously, I'm working for free, hour after hour after hour, working for free. But in some ways, I'm halfway okay with that. But I know that it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And so I don't know what you want to do. You don't have to do anything. It's perfectly okay. All I can say is here's the situation, and you can do whatever you want with it. Now, I could stop right there. But I thought I would just bring two scriptures that I think are important when it comes to, because the last thing I want to do is to ever talk about money on a theology podcast. I hate to do that. I hate when Christian radio has to go 3, 4, 5 days. Have you ever noticed their share-a-thons? It's almost like they're begging, because they could just turn, they go live on the first day of the share-a-thon and say, hey guys, we need this much money. Go, right? And it will take them 5 days of begging to raise the money. It's like, why wouldn't everyone just say, okay, I'm going to commit on the first day, but they have to keep broadcasting and keep begging. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to beg and plead. And I know it's not work. It's just no. That's humiliating. That's embarrassing. It's like, here's what we do. You know what we do. You know how many hours of content we provide to you. Either you think it's worth it or you don't. And that's perfectly okay. There's no manipulating, begging, pleading. That's not the way to do it. That's just not the way to do it. So all I can say is that's the reality. I know for you, it's just simple. You're like, oh, I just download, click, play. Oh, wait, I can go to the next one. I know it's no big deal to you, but every one of those broadcasters, it costs money. Wherever you listen, those ministries, it costs money to broadcast. That's the reality of it. Some ministries feel like that they need millions of dollars. I'm telling you, I need $2,400 a year to break. Well, I don't even call it breaking even. It just covers the cost. That's all. Well, it doesn't really cover the full cost, but it covers the main cost. So 2 scriptures come to my mind, even though this is not what I want to talk about. I thought I would at least give you 2 scriptures. The first one, dropping my pencil. The first one is 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5. And this is mainly one that I have to ask myself whenever I talk about money. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. Not a filthy lucre. Let me read this from a different translation. 1 Peter chapter 5. Let me read it from a different translation. 1 Peter chapter 5, shepherd God's flock among you, not overseeing out of compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not out of greed for money. I got to make sure that whenever I'm doing this, now this is primarily, that passage is primarily for those inside a local congregation, but anyone doing ministry, it should not be done out of greed for money. It should not be done for filthy lucre. It should not be done to try to become rich. And I'm trying to tell you and show you that what I'm talking about is covering the cost of broadcasting. I'm not talking about help me get a new car, help me pay my mortgage. I'm not help me, repair my fence or replace my water. Any of these things that I could need or in my life, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking to cover the cost of broadcasting. So there you go. But I have to constantly make sure I'm not doing it out of greed, because if I am, then you know what? I just need to stop. I just need to get out of. I should just go do a different kind of podcast and then get on the daily grind and try to make some money. Right? This case, I'm just trying to cover the cost. So I got to make sure, am I doing it for filthy lucre? I feel like out of all the years of broadcasting, I think that I have done. I think all of my years of ministry, most of my life in ministry, I took no pay, zero pay, not a dime as a pastor, not a dime. Bivocational for a good portion of it. After I was medically retired from the military and declared, 100% disabled. Then, a little before that, the church started paying my house payment. But that's it. I don't get a salary above that in any way, shape, or form. The money goes directly to my house payment. Nothing like they will pay for gasoline, but that's it. There's no pay. I don't get a salary of any kind, right? For the podcast, I've tried not to, hey, would you like to support me? Would you like to help cover, help me, be able to, some podcasts will have, buy me a cup of coffee, or they'll have different ways of being able to support the podcaster. Here's my Amazon gift list, or here's this. But I've tried not to do any of that. So I think I've tried to do a pretty good job not to minister out of sake for filthy lucre. I've tried not to. I have tried my best. So that's, I think, one important passage. But there's another one. It's Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6. And so on my side, I should not do it out of greed. Your side, you, the listener, the one benefits from whether, and forget me, just forget me. Even if you never support me, that's okay. But whoever you listen to, wherever you're getting spiritually fed, whoever is doing the most spiritual feeding for you, just remember this, Galatians 6:6. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Galatians 6:6. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. I wonder what it means to communicate there. What do you think? What do you think it means to that communicate there? What do you think that's referencing? Does anyone have an idea? Let me read it from a different translation. So let's go to Galatians 6:6, a different translation. Let the one who is taught the word share all his good things with the teacher. Let the one who is taught share good things with the teacher. Another translation even makes it more clear. This is from the Amplified Bible. If I can find it, the Amplified Bible states it this way. The one who is taught the word of God is to share all good things with his teacher, contributing to his spiritual and material support. Now, you can do whatever you want with that. You can ignore that. Doesn't matter. And I don't even care if it's for me. I really don't. Because ultimately, why would I want to broadcast if people don't, if people don't want to support it, that's a hint, right? Go away. Just go away. Don't go away mad. Just go away, right? I can take a hint. It's perfectly okay. I can go on with my life, and I gave it a good shot, and I gave it a good try. And the end is the end. You have to just pick your head up and move on. But I do for everyone else out there, for every other podcast you listen to, for whatever ministry that you're like, man, I learn a lot. I gain something from them every time I listen. I'm challenged. I learn. Then communicate, share in some way, communicate with them, give in some way to help support them spiritually and materially if you can. All right, if you can. Now, I'm not saying by no means don't skip paying your bills or taking care of what you need to, but whatever you can, no matter how small that is. Because reality is, I can't speak for all other ministries, but if you think about it, $2,400 a year. I'm horrible at math. I know that's $200 a month. If 20 people give $10 a month, it's covered. I don't know how many would have to give at $5 a month, but you can figure out a small number of people giving small amount, a decent sized number of people giving a small amount. There you go. Think 200 people giving $1 a month would cover it. You can break that number down. It really, it's just not even a sizable number. Just people giving just a little bit each month would take care of the problem and no problem. In fact, a sizable number of people giving a very small amount would go above and beyond, and could be a big help in other ways. But there you have it. I just wanted to get this out of the way today. I didn't want to do this on a normal broadcasting day. That would be just so weird. Like tomorrow, the first broadcast would be like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we got notified that our prices are going to go up, and now it's going to cost us $2,400 a year to broadcast. We can't do that. So something's going to have to change, and it could be the end of this broadcast. Why would you want to do that on a Saturday where you're going to be doing devotional message? Like, that just seems so tacky. So this is not connected to any other broadcast. It's one broadcast, and then it's over. And then tomorrow we just move on. Here is what I promise you. I will mention this a couple of times between now and the end of the year. Come January, I will probably mention it one more time, January 2024, and say, all right, we've had from September to January, nobody has communicated. Nobody wants to do anything. So then I'll just wrap it up and say, that's the end of broadcasting. The end. The end. And then, whenever, I don't know how much longer, however, well, then all the sermons from the church just won't be broadcasted. There will be no live streaming for the church. And it'll just be the end. It'll just be the end of all broadcasting. And that's the go, because, I mean, there's no way we can, in our current situation, we cannot sustain $2,400 a year. We just can't. We just can't. That money could go to other things. It could go to other things. So there you have it. If people decide to communicate or to share in with us, I will communicate with that to you. And but again, I don't want anyone to give out of constraint. I don't want anyone to give out of guilt. I don't want anyone to give because they feel manipulated. I don't want anyone to give in any way, shape, or form other than they choose to, and it will not hurt them in any way, shape, or form. And if you don't, that's perfectly okay. All I can do is present to you the reality of the situation. I definitely, I know this. There's no way. There's just no, the only way it's even remotely sustained right now is because of the church. But if the church ever went away, clearly $2,400, no way I'm paying. There's no way I can pay that. There's no way I can pay that. And it's just, there we have, that's where we are. That's just where we are. Where the church is today. One of the major contributors is we had someone who was supporting us monthly with a specific amount of money going directly to the internet ministry. And well, they got mad at me because that's the problem with doing Theology podcast, right? People will support you until you say what they don't like, and then they won't support you. So they said they're no longer listening to us. They deleted the app, and obviously they're no longer going to give. So I don't know exactly the financial hit that's going to take, but that's going to be that's just another step in the wrong direction. And that's okay. It can just be the writing is on the wall, as they say. But there you have it. That's the reality on this Friday, September the 22nd, 2023. We now know that it will now cost us, moving forward, $2,400 a year to broadcast. That is not sustainable. We're going to go out as I'm going to do everything I can to make September, October, November, December as beneficial and as profitable as I can make it in broadcasting. And then January 2024, we'll make a final decision. And if that's the end, that's the end. So if there's anything you want to keep, you should download it between now and January, because once it's gone, it'll be gone from all sites. It'll just be gone. Gone. So there you have it. I don't know what else to say, but thank you for listening. Thank you for all the downloads, for all the streams. I don't really know what else to say. I think my attitude is, you know what? That's fine. It really is. It really is okay. Everything has to come to an end. Everything has to come to an end. It really does. And so I think if that's the way it is, if that's the way it ends, that's the way it ends. It ends with a really trying hard to communicate some very important theological concepts, to really challenge people, to try to predict where the church is going, to look at our current state. I think I've done a lot of pretty decent things to put forth a lot of theological hypotheses. And I think for all my failures and all the years of doing things, I definitely feel like I never did it for filthy lucre's sake. I don't think I ever did that. I think considering I never took a salary of any meaningful kind, like, an actual salary. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So, there you go. That's the situation. You can do with that as you want. Please do not feel like you have to. Please. I'm begging you. Don't feel bad. Don't feel anything. Don't feel sad. Just be like, well, that was a good run. And if you need me to find you other podcasts to listen to, email me, newsif@yahoo.com when the day comes. And I will say, hey, here, try this. And then you won't even know that I'm gone. So, but we haven't gotten there yet. We got the rest of September, all of October, all of November, all of December. Let's make it a good rest of 2023. And then we won't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow's not here yet, right? Remember, we did a broadcast about not worrying about tomorrow. All we have is today. So tomorrow will be a new day. We'll turn on the microphone, we'll broadcast, and we'll just move forward. And when we get to 2024, we'll see. Who knows what anything will look like by the time we get to 2024. But wherever we are, hey, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. I'm not going to do the whole crying and begging, and I'm not going to do any of that. I'll go out with my head up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my head up going, I did what I could. And if this is the end, this is the end. But there you have it. So sorry I took up 31 minutes of your time, but I wanted my best to explain it. But I wanted you to at least consider those two scriptures. I got to remember 1 Peter 5. You should consider Galatians chapter 6. And you can do with what you want with those verses. And you can do with what you want with the information. So if you have any questions, email me, newsif@yahoo.com. That's newsif@yahoo.com. If you think I should never have mentioned this, perfectly okay. You can tell me that. I know I'm going to get emails telling me you should have never mentioned it. How dare you? And I understand. And you can go ahead and stop listening now. Some of you will be like, and you don't need to say sorry or anything like that. This is not about pity. It's none of that. Really, literally, it's none of that. I'm very much prepared for the end. And because I feel like I've done a pretty decent job. I had a unique vision. I've carried out that vision. I've had a unique vision for what I wanted the church to be. And my vision has not always proven to be very successful. I definitely have done it. I've not followed the template. I've not gone along with how I was supposed to do things. I've done it differently. And I can say I've done it. I will have my own regrets for my own failures and weaknesses and mistakes. Yes. But as far as what I tried to do, I'm glad I did it that way. I'm glad I didn't follow all the other patterns and trends. I'm glad I did it a little differently. All right. Thank you for listening. Everyone have a great night. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I do apologize for having to do this broadcast, but I just figured let's get it out of the way now, and then we can just start tomorrow afresh, anew, and I won't mention this until probably October. And then I'll let you know the situation. And then once in November, once in October, once in November, once in December, and then once in January. That's what I can promise you. There you go. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a great night. God bless.